Hey guys, so I wanted to do more of a concept video again, talking about a type of training I like to do. So I like to reverse engineer when I'm developing new techniques. So I just want to demonstrate how I do that, right? So come here. So often, like when you learn a technique, it's one thing to learn it in drilling, it's another thing to start sparring with it, right? So this is a really efficient way of increasing your learning speed when sparring, okay? So let's use an example of like the sit-up guard, okay? So I'm here, I get the sleeve, very classic position, I push the hip out, I go for the sit-up position, I feed the sleeve here, you can come around this way a little bit. I feed the sleeve here like this, we grab the lapel, we dump out to the side, maybe grab the tricep and come up, okay? So there's a lot of parts to this. So if you learn this technique in class, you may learn to start from here, push the hip out and do all of that. And then when you start sparring, even if you do specific sparring from here and you start in this position, you know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, right? The guy can keep his elbow tight, you may push and then drop your leg, things go wrong. So what I actually have my students do a lot, and I do this all the time myself, is I'll start from here first, at the end part of the position. I reverse engineer. Because I know if I start in the best possible scenario, like sitting up all the way with this sleeve control and the lapel, right? And I'll start my students sparring from here first. If they can't finish it from here, well then I know for certain they're not gonna finish starting from here, right? Because even if they get to the best case scenario, they can't finish the position, right? So what I often do is like we'll do it in segments, right? We start from this position and then we'll spar from here, right? And then I notice they make mistakes like they drop this foot too early, or when they go for the sweep, rather than going forward, they're leaning back too much, stuff like that, right? So as they start sparring here, like problems come up, like the guy doesn't fall over, he posts that hand, for example, they learn to grab here and start coming up, and we'll spar from there a bit, right? As they get good at that, then we'll add like another layer of complexity. Like we'll start here with this sleeve and like this. So now maybe he pulls the sleeve away, I can't get that. So then they start switching here and we develop series on that. And as they get comfortable starting with like this lapel, starting with this sleeve already gripped, and they have some comfort in this position, we'll reverse engineer back a little bit more. We'll start down here with the ankle and the foot on the hip and the sleeve, right? So now they have to spar from here, developing the part where they switch to make this transition, right? Because there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that process. Okay, and then finally, maybe we start with just the sleeve, but the leg out. Or maybe you start like this without the sleeve, right? And then that way you know every time you're going at like what's the common denominator, right? It's like if you can't finish a triangle choke, well then learning a triangle choke setup from closed guard, it's going to be hard for you to want to try it because you know even if you get there, you can't finish it, right? So the first thing you do is learn how to finish the triangle choke, then learn a setup, right? So I'm just going to give you guys one more analogy for this. Would be like if you're in closed guard, same idea, right? There's a lot of attacks from here, but there's like positions like other than just closed guard. So it's not just closed guard. I may need to like go high guard and lock over his shoulder here, or I may scoot out to the side and isolate this trapped arm, right? So rather than showing just this entire sequence from here to set up the triangle choke, what I would do is I would show that sequence first, but then when I have the guys start specific sparring, I would have them start first with like this arm overhooked, or having the belt, however you're trapping this outside arm. It could even be like a rubber guard position, like this, and maybe even starting with the wrist control, right? And we go from here. Because I know if they start with the wrist control and this trapped, and they can't execute it from here, there's no way they're gonna execute it starting from closed guard, right? So a lot of problems come up here, like they can't get the foot out, or they don't know how to move their leg here. And once they start getting confident doing this, and they have a good choke, that's okay, right? Then maybe we start with just this belt here, or the arm trap, but not the wrist, right? Now he keeps his arm in tight, and then I have to work to go inside and do a lot of setups to get to this. And once I get to here, we know I already know how to finish this, and we go from here, right? And then now we work back out here, and then the next skill set is to develop trapping the arm in the first place, right? And then we build out from there. Okay, so that way when you're learning techniques, you're not going way beyond what you're capable of doing, right? You get the rough idea, and then you specific spar in the exact spot or the exact mini battle you need to get good at, and then you just scale from there, right? I've used that from, like honestly, before I even officially started training at a gym, I watched the original UFCs, and I taught my first arm bar to myself by watching Royce Gracie fight in the tournament, or in the UFC, right? So I always use that, I still use that, that's how I develop a lot of my technique, is just micro positions and specific sparring in them. Okay? So a lot of the smaller details on techniques are hard to put in these big comprehensive videos because there's so many different ways people mess stuff up. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, check it out at Jon Thomas BJJ. I daily updates on there and stories with a lot of small stuff that you don't get to see on the YouTube channel. Also, I've been doing more online privates and consultations. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and DM me on Instagram and let me know. All right, guys, as always, if you like the channel, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.